In this video, we will look at how to start working with MongoDB. So the first step is to start MongoDB server. How we can do that is using a command line or a command mongod, which we can run on our terminal to start the MongoDB server. And after the server is started, there is a command line interface CLI available for you, which is called Mongo shell, on which we can write our queries and communicate with MongoDB. And the command which we need to use is mongo, which will start or connect to the local version of the MongoDB server, which is running on the port 27017. You can also connect with additional server or additional by providing additional parameters. For example, if your server is running on a different port, then you can specify the port using -- port. You can also connect to a server which is running on your network and you have to provide its address, for example its IP address and port with username and password to connect with the server. For example, we can see that here I have a okay, so this is my command line interface. So I don't need to run mongod because my server is running as a Windows service, so which always automatically starts when the Windows starts. So I don't need to manually start my MongoDB server using the command mongod. So I will skip that. And in the installation section, we will discuss how to set up your MongoDB server on a Windows system so that it automatically starts when the Windows starts. Now, in order to connect to my server using the command line interface, so all we have to do is type mongo, and with this we are connected to our local database. As you can see here, it is connecting to MongoDB, the local IP address, and then it automatically connects to it. Now once we are connected to the to our MongoDB server through this command line interface, we have different commands available to us to communicate with the MongoDB. For example, if we want to see which database we are currently connected to, we can see it by DB. And then to see different databases, we have show DBs command. And if you want to change or switch between different databases, we can use the command use. And then finally there is a command show collections to see all the collections available in the database. We will go through these. For example, the first command is to see which database or which databases are available. So we have show DBs, so which will show us all the databases available in our MongoDB instance. So right now we have admin, advanced web tech, colon, config, and local. So admin, config, and local are the default databases available. So the other ones are my custom or my personal databases which I have on my MongoDB server. So in order to see to which database this command line is currently connected, you have to connect to one database so that you can perform operation on them. So you have to see you can see that by the command db, and it tells me it's connected to a test database which is non-existing at the moment. So one of the thing about MongoDB is that you don't have to create a database. You don't have to create a collection specifically before starting put data in it. When we will do this CRUD operation, we will see that you can directly start adding data to a database and a collection which does not exist. So what MongoDB will do is that on receiving a request to insert to a database which does not exist, so it will create a database, it will create a collection, and it will start putting data in that. So that's why it's right now connected to this test database. So if I start adding data to this database, it will create this database and then it will start performing. So for our test, let's say we want to see our advanced web. If we want to use our advanced web tech database, then we have a command called use, and then we type in the name of the database, adv web tech. So now the control has been switched from test to the advanced web tech course. So if we say DB, now it is advanced web tech. Now we are in the advanced web tech database. So to see how many collections are available, we have a command called show collections. So with this, now we have 3 collections available in it: groups, students, and users. So we will, when we are going to perform different CRUD operations, then we will start using these commands available to us. There are a lot of additional commands available for this command line interface, which are available in the MongoDB manual on their official website. Now, of course, the command line interface is not always approach which you can use, or you cannot access MongoDB in your, let's say, project through command line interface. But in order to use your MongoDB in a project, you have to do it programmatically. So in order to show or explain how we can connect to MongoDB through a code, we are going to use Node Express as one of the backend server to connect and execute different commands to it. How to connect or how to access MongoDB from a Node and Express. So first step would be you have to install Node, which is available from the Node official website. So you can install the latest version of the Node. So in order to create a simple server in Node.js, what you need to do is you create an empty folder and create a file called app.js in it. So it should be an empty file. So you can create a text file and rename it to app.js. And then in this app.js file, you are going to define your server. So what you need to do is you need to open a terminal in the folder that you just created, which contain app.js, and run npm init. So what this will do is it will initialize the project. It will ask you a set of questions. So what is the name of your project, what version are you using, what is the starting point of your project. So for example, in your case, your starting point of your project should be app.js, and then other information can be added. For example, if there is a GitHub repository which is associated with it, etc. This will only create a metadata of your project. After that, you need to install different modules in it. For example, in order to start a server, we need first we need to install Express in our project, which can be done npm install -- save express. And at the same time, we are going to install a package called NodeMon, which is a kind of monitoring package, so that when you are doing development, so it automatically detects any change that you do to the code and restart the server. So now, once you have installed Express and NodeMon in your project, all you need to do is add these 5 lines of code to your app.js, and then your server is ready. And in order to start the server, what you need to do is just execute the command nodemon, and the server will be starting on the port 3000. So for example, let's say I have this server available. So I created a server with app.js, and I copied this 3 line of code, and then I need to go into the directory of the in the folder where app.js is. For example, this is my directory where it contains app.js. Now we are going to start our project nodemon, and then we will see that the server started on port 3000. So if I try to go on our browser and try to access our local host 3000, and then you will see that it says welcome to Advanced Web Technologies SS20 course. So this is what is given by this line. So we defined an endpoint, which is a root endpoint. So this is our root endpoint, and then once the root endpoint is called, we send a response which is welcome to the Advanced Web Tech course. The next step is to connect with the node, connect with MongoDB. So in order to do that, we need to include another package which is called MongoDB. So what we need to do is we need to run the command npm install dash dash save MongoDB. What it will do is it will again download the MongoDB package of Node and then save it in the in this project. And then what we need to do is we need to now connect to this MongoDB. So this is the code. I will explain the code directly on the editor. So let's say this is the code that we need. So let's copy this code here. We replace these two. So the most important thing what you need is this line. So you need to import MongoDB client in your project. This is the MongoDB client which is responsible for connecting to the MongoDB server. So I created two variables. So database on which I am going to connect, which is advanced web tech, and the collection which I want to perform most of my tasks is users collection. Now you also need a URL of the MongoDB. So right now our MongoDB server is localhost. So since it's a local version of my MongoDB, so I'm going to use the localhost in my URL. But let's say if you want to connect to your server which is on a network, so you can also add an IP address or a different location address of the MongoDB server to which you are going to connect. And this is the code which actually opens the connection and starts or connects with the MongoDB and opens a connection. So you have to call mongodb.connect. MongoDB, this is the object, and then connect. This connect accept the URL and then some additional parameters. So these are the default parameter you should always have, and we are not going to go into the detail what exactly these parameters are doing. Once the connection is established, a callback method is called. So we have defined this callback method here. If there is an error, the error will appear to us in this error variable, and if there is no error, then the database connection will be available to us in the DB variable, and we can perform our own operations within this function. For example, what we did was if there is an error, we put it in our console that the error appeared. Otherwise, what we are doing here is that we are saving this database connection in our local variable. The reason why we need to do something like that is that we start a connection in the beginning of the project, and then we keep on using the same connection to retrieve and write data. Of course, we can always do this in for example, whenever the request comes, then we create a new connection always. So what we are going to do is we are going to open a connection in the beginning when the application start and save it in a kind of local variable which is available in our application object, which is our express application, and stored it as a database object. And we moved our command where it is listening to the port, so where the server start command inside the MongoDB connection, because we want to make sure that the connection is established, and if the connection is established, there is no error, then we start listening to the port for any kind of incoming request from the users. If there is an error with the database connection, we don't want our server to be running. So that's what happening here. So we open a connection, we save the connection in our local variable, and then which we will be accessing when we need to perform any read-write operation in different endpoints that we are going to create. So with this, now we have our database connected. So now, for example, if I save it, you will see that the server automatically restarts, and it says that the server started on port 3000. To be clear, we can stop the server again and then start set node mon. So since there is no error coming, so it means that our connection was established with our database and everything is working fine. Now we have our database connected to our application. In the next video we are going to see how we can insert, create, update and delete different records in our MongoDB.